All right. Story number five. Now, again, with the Super Bowl coming up in 2 weeks, it's in New Orleans, and Master P is he is in charge of the festivities. Now, he's been doing interviews recently. He did an interview with allhiphop.com that I thought was really, truthfully, I thought it was kind of light, but he makes a point in that interview that blew my mind, right? So in the conversation, he almost as a throwaway line says, he's the first black man to own real estate on Bourbon Street. Master P said he's the first black man to own real estate on Bourbon Street. Now, what he was talking about is the New Orleans Walk of Fame, which he announced that will be taking place next week. I think they have the commencement next week. And I believe Lil Wayne is the first person to be inducted into the Lil Wayne Hall of Fame, the New Orleans Walk of Fame. And so, but in my, like, the first black man, that's crazy. Louisiana, you know, that is one of those, it's a state that is rich and powerful in black history. But it's also, in my opinion, it's also a prison state. You know, and I think a lot of their recent legislation is really leaning into that space. I've covered Louisiana within stories on this channel a few different times. You know, I did a story on Kevin Gates called Institutionalized. I looked into that. I did a story called Drip Like Dipset, which I think people need to go back and look at Drip Like Dipset. I know people don't like it necessarily when I get political, but that video explains why I have so many American flags in my bio. People always think that I'm like out here, you know, caping for something I'm not. No, it's a very intentional reason. And that video was made during COVID. But there's a clip in there of, is it Sleep for the Rich Gun Club? I think it's Sleep for the Rich Gun Club in Baton Rouge. And they were out there protesting against Confederates. You know what I mean? So Louisiana is one of these states that is rich in righteous history. And and it just so happens to be a prison state at the same time, which I think, you know, makes sense in one way or another, depending on how you look at it. Point is this: Master P in that all hip hop interview said he's the first black man to own real estate on Bourbon Street. 9-second applause. Now, I would show the interview again, but overall it's pretty light. You know, it wasn't, I don't know if that, it was overall it's pretty light, but that's what stood out to me. Now, it stands out to me in particular in connection with this conversation that Master P had over at, on Math Hoffa's platform. Okay, so during this conversation, during this conversation, Master P and Math Hoffa are talking about how he was able to get Snoop away from Suge Knight and the importance of communicating with love. Now, it's a pretty short clip. It's only about 5 minutes, but this is actually really good stuff. All right, so let's take a look.
How do you deal with, like, okay, if you're having issues with your distributor or the label that you're associated with?
I'm going to see him. I'm going to get my money.
How you going to do it, B? Come on.
So this clip starts at the tail end of a part where Math Hoffa asks Master P what advice he would give Drake, actually, since Drake is suing UMG. That's where this picks up. And Master P basically says, I don't have any advice for him because I've never been in that situation. Meaning Master P's never been in a rap battle, lost so badly that he sued his label. Uncharted territory, as we've been talking about.
Tomato. Give my money, come on, man. You got to show up. You know what I'm saying? That's what I do. Right. Every time somebody owed me some money, I came seen them.
Right. And they
I can do that in the hood, so why not do it in corporate America? I'm more tough on corporate America than I am in the hood. I might let you make, that's my partner. I know I'm okay, bro. I'm going to let you make it. I know that ain't right what you did. I'm going to let you make it because I got love for you. But I'm going to pop up and say, look, man, I need to get my money. Mm. That's it. That's how I do it.
But we're not, being that we're in different times, you think it's possible for there to be another Master P right now? Like, looking at the game and how everything is structured, is it possible to be another Master P?
If you put the work in. Because think about this, right? One thing about corporate America, they want to be with whoever winning. So you got to know how to negotiate what you want when you can. But once you sign that deal, it's over with. So think about it. When I first went into there, I told them, I'm gonna put out 20-something records. They say, no, you're not. Well, I'm signing that deal. I'm saying, why can't I own the company?
I mean, the No Limit wave, I mean, it's very well documented. I think, generally speaking, people have an idea of how innovative Master P was on the business side, how just the number of unspoken rules that he destroyed and made a better landscape for independent artists is something that I still am inspired by all the time. You know, again, I talk about Master P quite a bit on this channel because he is just a reflexively inspirational figure in my life. But No Limit with the Pen and Pixel album covers, every week there was a new No Limit drop. New No Limit drop every week. And that's something we hadn't seen before at that point in time.
Never did that before. That's why I'm gonna do it. So the art of negotiation is real. You have to know how to when you have the control, how to utilize it. But some of us take that power and we abuse it.
In what way?
I'm just saying, you abuse it because you think, you just got the money. No, it's about building relationships and resources. So you should be able to pick up the phone and say, look, I'm making this much money for the company. We got to be able to talk about some of these things.
I mean, building relationships and resources, he's talking about it in a relationship with your label standpoint. But, I think people really should embrace that. And one thing, and I'll say this from a YouTube standpoint, because part of me understands, part of me feels like I felt at different points in time when I first started my first blog. I wanted to just get my ideas out. And over time, obviously I graduated into different levels of media. But there's all kinds of things that I talk about on this. I present things on this channel a lot of times in a way that isn't obvious that I'm sourcing. And there's a lot of times when there's things that are confusing in the marketplace, right? Where you're looking at something, you saw something, but you don't see it where you're supposed to see it. And everyone's like, what's this? What's happening? That's where relationships come in handy. That's where it becomes necessary to pick up the phone and call someone, or even multiple people. Not even necessarily if you're doing a story, but just to get your mind in the right space to be able to talk about something, to understand what you might be missing when we're sitting here, talking to the camera by ourselves, or if you're sitting there writing something on your own. And writing, of course, journalism, of course, but media, a lot of this is a very lonely endeavor, especially people who have their own show, their own live streams or whatever. You're sitting here by yourself most of the time. It's like doing homework for a living if you're a writer on top of that. And you're coming up with these ideas and you feel like you had a breakthrough. And then and you feel like you're on this path and it turns out that, oh wait, all that was for nothing. Oh wait, I was putting way too much emphasis on that because the answer was a lot simpler than I thought it would have been. And I could have avoided all this by just calling and asking what someone sees, having relationships. Because along with my relationship with you all and the incredible analysis y'all dropping in the comment section all the time, I'm able to understand what's happening in the world around me a lot easier, with a lot more accuracy, just by picking up the phone and calling. And I think there's a lot of people, particularly in YouTube, I don't know if everybody considers themselves a journalist. I think there's a range of different things you can do on YouTube, right? But there is a lot of pride, I think, that a lot of times people feel when it comes to just reporting on things, or not even just, I guess, more reacting to things. Even though I was separated from a reaction community, but there's a lot of reluctance I see in a lot of spaces for people to reach out for perspective. And I think a lot of times what they end up doing is really confusing things at times when they don't really necessarily need to be. And a lot of times, you have more success in general if you just, reach out and have relationships, call people, because even the people that you call will feel more apt to help you in the future, you know, if you're not out there getting things wrong.
Right.
And that's you also got to you got to be able to communicate in love, and we don't know how to do that.
When you say communicate in love,
communicate in love, if you want to get something done. So think about, you got to watch how you talk to people. Mm-hmm. That's like in the hood. If you was in prison, you gonna communicate in love, or you gonna be fighting.
That's so important too. Communicate in love. That is another thing. I mean, you know, I think I got that from my mom, my dad, and my grandmothers. But like, you know, that is a value that I have, and I'm always happy to hear Master P talk about that. You know, there's a lot of things I want, like everybody else. Like everybody else, there's a lot of things I want to say all the time. You know, I'm forced to. I choose to focus on my broader goals more than this latest piece of friction or whatever that might be. But communicate with love. Communicate with love. That's a bar. 1 second applause.
Right or wrong?
Right.
Okay. On the streets, if you don't communicate in love, you're gonna be fighting.
Okay. Well, communicate in respect.
Love. It's 2 different words.
Right.
It's 2 different words. It's 2 different words.
Just saying, you know. But communicating in love, is that similar to when you got our wedding?
Look at Math Hoffa's reluctance. Look at his reluctance there.
And Suge Knight was like, "Oh,
I communicated in love."
Can you tell us about that story?
I communicated in love. That's what it was. I communicated in love.
It makes sense because we never heard you.
Because think about it. I respect the man. Right. He doing something what a lot of black men are not doing. Just because he locked up, I'm not going to bash him or throw him under the bus. Right. I'm telling you, like, you had a used car. You told me what you wanted for it. I gave you what you wanted for it. And everything else was love. That was it. We went on about our business.
It's as simple as that. Communicate with love.
Other people probably couldn't understand it, but I respect it because this is a black man that did something with a label like Death Row, right?
Right.
So I end up signing Snoop. Snoop was a student of mine, and now he ended up being a teacher, and he went back and built his thing up and brought Death Row Records.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, everybody was amazed because it was unheard of. Like,
because you don't know how to communicate in love.
Because you don't know how to communicate in love. 1 second applause.
That was hilarious.
It's at the time when everybody was pretty much terrified of Suge Knight, you were able to get Snoop off of his label and onto yours. Last Meal, Salute. That's one of my favorite Snoop albums.
Yeah.
We stay on point like Stacey Adams.
I love that song. We stay on point like Stacey Adams. 1 second applause.
Shit. Yeah. Losing Control. That's like, if I go through something, I'm playing that all day long. It's going to help me go through it. You know what I mean? In that process, there were a lot of people complaining, okay, Snoop is with Master P now. We don't understand the sound, because at first he was on a lot of your records.
Yeah.
And then you were able to bring Dr. Dre. You let Dr. Dre come back into the picture.
Yeah.
How did that work out?
What you think he gonna say? What you think he gonna say? What you think he gonna say? Okay, this is what he says.
Communicated in love.
Word up, man. Just some jewels from Master P. Again, he's got a big week coming up. He is over the, I don't want to say he's over the Super Bowl, but he's over the city's activation with the Super Bowl. I can't remember his title. You know, I think he's the city's entertainment ambassador, if I'm not mistaken. And they're rolling out the New Orleans Walk of Fame next week. And reportedly, I believe Lil Wayne's going to be the first one. So 1 second applause for Lil Wayne. Let me know what you think about this conversation and the importance of communicating in love. My name is Justin Hunt. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow the company man on everything. It's all happening.
Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. The mathematical breakdown of this mighty game of rap we in. It's boom bapping in. Systematical culture views us radical, it's all happening. shaking hands and dapping it. Life through the lens of hip hop, from trip hop to yes, dog. You don't stop, you don't stop. Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. It's all happening, yes, it's all happening. Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. It's all happening, yes, it's all happening.